I now invite General Arun, and I would place three issues with you. One is the Op Sindhu is an example of excellent jointmanship, perfect integrated planning and execution. How does this portend for the future of Op planning in the context of CDS and individual services? Second is, of course, the doctrinal change announced by the PM. Does this imply a full-fledged military punitive action in the future? What does this imply for our future military strategy and the escalation matrix? And the third one is the air defense has performed exceedingly well, and the IACC has projected a robust, impenetrable wall while we demolished their air defense. Army tactical air defense stitched together by Akash Tir performed extremely well. What shape will this now take in the future warfare, given the fact that drones, missiles, AI, and cyber warfare will dominate the initial phases of the war? Will our approach to China change with this experience? Arun, all yours. Yeah.
Jai Hind, Vanakkam, and thank you for this opportunity. It was fascinating listening to the two preceding speakers. I'll start with the ambassador. It was absolutely, it warmed the cockles of a soldier's heart to hear a diplomat, a very senior ambassador who's been the permanent representative in New York, talking of a robust diplomatic policy. It is music to my ears. Abrogating the Indus Water Treaty, brilliant. It is as muscular an option as diplomats can do. So thank you very much, sir. May your tribe increase. Thereafter, Dr. Pillai, it was absolute pleasure. I am willing to sacrifice my time to listen to you speak for some more. People like you make India possible. People like you make it easy for soldiers like me to execute what we have to do. People like you make it easy for India to stand in the Committee of World Nations in the manner in which you do. So God bless you, sir, and thank you very much. I will give a month's pension now to come and listen to you speak wherever you are. I will certainly buy that book and read it. So thank you very much. So coming to a couple of things before the specific questions that you asked me. You talked of the chaos theory and that little butterfly. Now that little butterfly, sir, in South America actually does not know that it can create a hurricane in Florida. But this Indian butterfly knows exactly where a hurricane can be created and is aware of its power. That is the new India, which is not just muscular, but it's no longer shy of its muscles. Now, whether it's our cricket team or whether it's our country in general, I have constantly argued that we are reticent by nature and we are shy of showing our muscles. Well, that India has changed. This new India is muscular and is not ashamed of its muscles. And we should not be ashamed of using our muscular power. Soft power takes us to a point. I am probably a hawk. You could call me a hawk, although I wear a kurta and a pajama these days since I'm retired. But I'm still a hawk. Now, that brings me to international order. Sir, you argued that some people are of the view that international order has since collapsed. I am certainly a vocal proponent of that view. I am not even sure the United Nations should exist in its current form. I would go out on a limb and say that we should pull out of the United Nations for a moment and watch what happens then. Out of the 193 or so members, I think 125 will fall out. Because the Security Council and the P5 do what suits them. They do nothing else to better the world. Apart from the other arms of the UN, I'm only referring to the peacekeeping, the DPKO operations. Now, that having been said, sir, the Prime Minister made those statements, and what are the implications? I'm clubbing all your three questions, sir, into one. It's quite a challenging thing because I have just 30 seconds to do that. So, political objectives. What did we gain from Operation Sindoor? Tremendous gains. Politically, we clarified what the cost will be to Pakistan in a case of a similar misadventure. And that cost has been elucidated by General Brar and by Dr. Pillai, both in men, material, reputation. Now, reputation is very important because the Pakistan military had for long, since I was commissioned and I was in service, prided themselves on their air defense systems. Now that myth lies in tatters today for a multitude of reasons. I think that has changed. Indus Water Treaty, sir, you spoke about a new normal. Now, this new normal actually states that so far we keep looking to other powerful nations for some kind of a support or a vote. My recommendation is we should stop doing that. If some country didn't stand by us, if they were midway through in making these polite noises which people are supposed to make, it's no big deal. I think today we are more than big enough to wage our own battle, and we neither need anybody's permission nor consent to do it. And I think that has been amplified more than clearly. Now, in terms of psychological objectives, we've struck at a depth which we hadn't struck so far. Now, more than the physical damage that we have caused, 100 or so kilometers into their hinterland, it's the psychological effect of that strike which will have a more lasting effect on what Pakistan does in future. I think that is huge. Resolve. The resolve to commit resources to conflict and control that escalation, which Air Marshal Madheshwaran so beautifully explained, I think was demonstrated in huge. The other objective that we may have had but not clarified or amplified in so much detail is a deterrence. What my desire was is that we should have amplified what we define by a terrorist threat. So now it's already started, the hair has already started getting split. So people have started saying major terrorist threat. So how do you define what is major and minor? Were those killing of 3 terrorists in Sopore minor? I would have argued that is also a terrorist threat, and that should have been followed by one more, probably Dr. Pillai's babies. 3, home delivered free of charge, like he said. So where do we draw that line? How do we take it? Are we really in control of an escalation matrix? That is something we'll have to ponder about in future. But for a present display, fantastic. Now, in terms of strategic implications, for a long time, I was the chief of strategy for the Indian Army. So if I don't speak about this, I will not do justice to the pay I drew there. So we successfully moved from restraint, from strategic ambiguity, if you wish, strategic ambivalence, if you wish, strategic restraint, if you wish. We've moved to calibrated deterrence. And we have shown that with each escalation, we will not only control but dictate and shape the next stage and level of escalation. So I think that has been displayed. This is a huge strategic implication for us. The strike envelope has got expanded, not just in terms of the kinetic energy that we've delivered, but in the manner in which we have delivered it by using or marrying all the powers that we have at our disposal, which talked about network-centric warfare, about the marriage of the 3 services, about the networking of the different missile systems, about the use of the multiple layers that we have, whether it be offensive or defensive, that has been adequately amplified. Now, whether it was done as a consequence of a strategic change in the doctrine that we apply, or it came because of what we had to do, and now we had to actually craft a doctrine and remodify our tactics and training procedures, that is something that the militaries will do now. Destroying Pakistan's strategic assumptions and aspirations. The leader of the Muslim world, the only country in the Muslim world to have an atomic weapon, seemingly a spokesperson for all things, Islam, at least that is the way they portrayed themselves. They provided defense umbrella to many other powerful, countries which sought there. Now, I think that market, that belief, that assumption, that image has got completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. Tri-service jointmanship, sir, you use the word jointmanship. I don't like the word jointmanship, sir, because joint actually means a joint. 2 things which are joint. I like the word integrated. Because in typical carpentry, the word joinery is used. So joinery still means 2 separate entities joined together. Now, I'm saying integrated. I think that integration has been from the fact that all the three services were represented at every conference, every briefing, along with a very very senior official of the Ministry of External Affairs. I think it showed great synergy and integration, not just within the three services, but also within the whole of government approach, which we have always argued for and never quite found. I think we found it. And I think in this little window of Pahalgam and the 2 weeks and the 4 days of conflict, we have discovered many things about ourselves as a country and an army and a whole of government which we didn't know existed. And I pray to the powers that we don't let it go away. Before the iron gets cold, we should mold this system into something that is robust and we can be proud of. We've shown that we don't need any permission or international consensus or support from anybody. It doesn't matter. If many nations didn't stand by us, it doesn't matter. We did what we had to do. We pulled off when we had to do. Conference after conference, it has been stated that we had limited objectives. In this case, specifically to destroy terrorist infrastructure, which we did. How I wish, like hell, we had taken out one of the 2 or 3 major terrorist leaders. That would have been the icing on the cake. That will happen in some time. And I think that message is now loud and clear to those across the border. One last tactical implication for us which may unfold. Now that Pakistan has realized that where our threshold is to launch a military strike, I am conscious of the fact that all the terror groups that operate out of Pakistan in our country will now drop that threshold level. Which means is there going to be a likely resurgence of a larger number of smaller terrorist attacks? Yes. Is this likely to create a problem? Because it is very easy to see an airfield. It is very difficult to see a single militant or a terrorist. So that is something we need to be conscious of. And I'm sure the parts that we are working at all of this. So last question that you asked was about the air defense umbrella and our implications. Now, a lot of equipment that was used in this conflict was both of Chinese origin, probably made in Pakistan, probably made in China, and some of it American origin. Much of it has been countered effectively. But has all of it been countered? That's the question. Second is the quantum of numbers of equipment and tonnage and effect that was used and the cyber capability of the adversary. Are the Chinese a different cup of tea? Yes, they are. But we've tested our might against one adversary and come out shining. Do we need to prepare for another adversary? Certainly, yes. Will the war unfold in the same manner? Certainly not. Because like we are analyzing it, you can be sure across the border and across different borders in different countries, multiple people are analyzing how this war unfolded and how we calibrated our actions. Are we a threat to anybody else? Absolutely not. But they are going to be conscious of our increasing muscular power. This is not an India which is only going to do yoga and Bharatanatyam. We will do a Bharatanatyam picture delivered through a Brahmos. And thank you, Pillai sir, once more. So that is what has changed. With the Chinese, I think a recalibrated doctrine will factor in what the threats may be, consequent to threat assessment. Last but not the least, Pakistan is not even a worthy adversary. I'm sorry, Group Captain Vijay sir and your honorable audience, we have actually wasted 2 hours talking about an adversary which is a non-issue. We have grown way beyond that. We are not even in the same league anymore. We should be talking about the bigger fish. So that is something we need to be very conscious of. Now, have we made no mistakes at all in this conflict? Are there no areas at all where we can improve? Is it only supposed to be celebratory and, a pat on the back? That is something for us to analyze indoors, behind closed doors, and we must do that. Because only then we will go from what we are an 85, 87, 89% to a circular error probability of 0. So that the next war, when it unfolds, we retain a similar posture at the end of the war. Last thing is, you're sitting in Chennai, most of you all at least, which is the home of chess in India and the home to so many of our grandmasters. The end game must be very clear to us when we move the first pawn on the board. And that is something I think will shape our doctrine and our strategic thought going forward. I have finished. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, General Arun. That's wonderful. Vijay, can we have 5-10? Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes for questions. Yeah. Anyone who wants to ask a question from the audience here, you can raise your hand. No? On the QR. Okay. It'll come here. Okay. Now they've put it on this thing. Or in the meantime, anyone wants to ask a question? Okay, it's come here. Okay. We have a question on how would you compare the air power dynamics of Operation Sindoor to other global air operations like Gulf War or Israel 6-day war? Okay, now as I pointed out, I don't like comparing with Israel. Israel is too small a country, one. They were good professionals and they have, since 1973, they do not fight any country. We are dealing with state power, big state power. Second is Israel 6-day war was a preemptive strike. Ours was not a preemptive strike. Ours was a very calibrated, punitive strike, which the enemy well knew was going to happen. And then we dealt with them. So we are dealing with a significant military force, and we are dealing with them effectively in a manner in which it needs to be dealt with. And that is a clear evidence of the professional competency of the service. The next question is for Ambassador Sinha. Why has a Western diplomatic narrative been hesitant to fully endorse India's actions, despite clear evidence of restraint and strategic precision? Ambassador Sinha, would you like to answer that?
Well, I would say that while there has been no direct and clear statement of support, if you compare the Western reaction to earlier situations, you find a clear movement in favor of India. The US statement that it had nothing to do with the situation with the war was a great improvement upon earlier situations in which the US would come down very heavily on India and ask for a ceasefire and ask for direct talks. This has not taken place this time. The US intervened only when Pakistan called it up and asked it to intervene. And that's when the US called us and we said that it's for the DGMO of Pakistan to call our DGMO and ask for a ceasefire. Otherwise, there was no appeal from anywhere in the West putting pressure upon India not to either to stop or not to launch the Operation Sindoor. So that I think is a great improvement. We must realize that the Western attitude towards Pakistan has a long history, and that is not easy to change in the context of the Western, especially American links with the Pakistani army, where they look upon their relations with special soldiers as a factor of some kind of stability in Pakistan, because the army is what keeps Pakistan stable. And the Americans, because they have a direct line to the Pakistan army, have a certain soft corner for it.
Thank you, Ambassador Sinha. The next question is, what lessons from the BrahMos program can be applied to evolving precision strike systems in the light of Operation Sindoor? This is for Dr. Sivadanu Pillai.
So presently what BrahMos has got is a seeker, which is a radio frequency seeker. And it has got the system like inertial navigation. So all through it will go by inertial navigation, which cannot be jammed. And the coordinates should be given correctly. Today, the requirement is coordinates have to be given correctly. That means the person who operates, he should give precise coordination. That coordination comes to you from a satellite or different means he is getting that. But in future, we don't want coordinates. We want to hit the targets. For that, we are now developing a new seeking system, which is called scene correlation area navigation. That means the scene will be already there with the onboard of the missile. It will go and map it. It will correlate. And where is the some small hut melted is there, it will pinpointedly it will destroy. So that is what we are now trying to do, so that the accuracy is totally, it is available. Even though we are not able to give the coordinate, it will destroy the target. This is one thing. Second thing is we are increasing the speed also. We are now from Mach 3, we are going to Mach 7. 7 times faster we are going. So when you go for 7 times, this correlation becomes very, very important, more than the coordinates. So that's what we are looking at to improve the accuracy. If our Navy decides, all the ships of Pakistan will be out, because that's very accurate because of the seeker system, which homes on is a radar seeker. All the ships can be destroyed. So when it is land target, hidden land target, there only we need more effort to hit that pinpointed accuracy. We have to do that. So that is what we are looking at it. Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Pillai. Next question to General Arun. How can military-civilian synergy be improved to better manage the information narrative during operations like Sindhu?
Vamsi, I don't know if you're from Chennai. When I return, come and have a coffee with me. I'd love to speak with you. I love your question, buddy. So, an army is only as good as the nation that supports it. If the armed forces didn't have the support of the country at large, these operations would not have been possible. Now, with reference to information war, see, we are about 1.4 odd billion people, of which, if you take away the 0.5 million or 0.5 billion, you still have about 800 or 850 million users of a handheld device, which is capable of transmitting, relaying, creating, positive images of ourselves. And you see any number of them. You will always remain our silent information warriors. That is the first thing. The second thing is in terms of support. I think General Brar mentioned something like that. That is one thing. The third thing is, supporting the national cause and the national narrative. So when it's a time of conflict, everybody has to rise and do their little bit. So when that soldier's family, so this is a conflict that never escalated to the next level. But should it have gone to the next level, we would have had multiple casualties on both sides of the border. After all, when there is a war, it is impractical to expect no casualties on one side. So tremendous support is required there. Tremendous support is required in the furtherance of the positive narrative, both as a country and as an armed forces and as individuals. Rest of the support outside the information arena sphere is to be able to neutralize the negative, subversive, and probably destructive capacity of cyber warriors from across. Now, when we fight a larger conflict, there will be a larger number of these people. So every little bit that you can do, and I'm sure our new doctrine, as we expose ourselves to what the community of our societies can do to further the information war, I think we will seek your support, public support, a lot more vocally and openly. What you've done for the armed forces in this conflict is priceless. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. And one last question. Sindhu demonstrated superior technology and strategy. A stitch in time saves 9. Similarly, good relations, diplomacy with neighbor countries help. Threat to East Coast by China via Sri Lanka is a question he's put there. I think I'll request Ambassador Sinha to look into that and answer this.
Well, as General Arun pointed out, this war with Pakistan was really, in a sense, an unequal war. Pakistan is much smaller than us. Pakistan's economy is a shambles, and Pakistan's technological capability is also extremely limited. For us, the bigger challenge comes from China. And in the case of China, for the first time in our history, the threat comes from the same power, both from the north and from the south. This is the first time in history that we have the same power that's threatening us from the land border in the north, also is a challenge to us in the south, in the oceans. So there you have a problem. There, China's economic strength is extremely high. Its ability to reach out to countries with aid and with assistance is very high. Its pockets are deep, and its military capacity, especially naval capacity, is extremely strong. So this makes it a formidable challenge to us. And while the Operation Sindoor has been a success, we have to learn lessons from it to prepare ourselves for the bigger challenge, which would be from China, both across the land and the sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And I just want to clarify one issue on the information or the narrative part. Fog of war, as defined by Clausewitz, is an essential part of war, which creates uncertainty. So as we moved along in the later part of 20th century, we started getting into a concept known as real-time awareness. So because surveillance and all these sensors started providing, and you could process the data and get real-time awareness. So everybody thought, whoa, the fog of war is going to be a thing of the past. We will know exactly what we are, and with networking, etc., even a soldier will know what exactly is happening around them, and therefore war can be prosecuted effectively. Technology brings its own fog of war. Okay, and it becomes even more complex. And now with social media and these kind of activities that have come in, earlier perception management was done by the governments and the top agencies, which was a top-down flow. Today, people do perception management from bottoms-up flows. So you're fighting the fog of war, you're fighting perception management, and therefore narratives are one massive jumble of confusion. It takes a long time to take away those noodles and then get to the real story. So internet, as I say, is 80% trash and 20% is gold mine. You have to really search that gold mine. And similarly, to work around this constantly, perception management, which we've seen in the context of Ukraine war and the Gaza war, much of the media outlets are managed by the Western countries. They dominate the world. They propagate the narrative, but that narrative, the world has realized that are trash. And therefore, there are many ways of people trying to figure out. If you go on Twitter, you will realize these stories are completely different if you want to see how it is actually the real truth. And that is important for us to actually remember. So in times of war, the fog of war is a very, very critical element. It will never go away, just as war, as Plato said 2,500 years ago, only the dead have seen the end of war. War will always remain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Narasimhan. I know if we had time, we could have gone all through the day. And thank you so much. And over 1,100 viewers are watching this program. Sorry, you sent so many questions, but when we went through the questions, most of the answers have already been shared by the people during the speech. Thank you so much. Ambassador Sinha, we are separated by distance. General Arun, you are not there. So on your behalf, we have made a digital memento for you. What we do is we on your behalf, we present poor school children books so that important people like you come and speak. That brings us a lot number of viewers. And thank you so much for joining online from Delhi and Pune. General Arun, we'll catch up soon on your return to Chennai. Now I'll request Ambassador Tirumurthy to join us on stage to present a memento of distinguished speakers for this evening, Mr. Tirumurthy, and also I request other committee members who are present here to join us on stage, maybe Sundaram and Yes, sir. I'll keep it the level. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know Mr. Shivatan Pillai's lack of time. I will assure you we'll have one exclusive session with him on success story, how it was done. So we should know about Brahmas, how we can keep delivering more missiles freely. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador Sinha, and thank you, General Arun. It was a great pleasure sharing this dice with you all in the evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen. Till we meet again. Bye-bye. Good night. Wish you
Thank
safe
you.
journey back.
Pleasure, sir.
Right.
Lovely meeting, talking to you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Same to you, General Arun.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. All the best.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.